Hello and welcome back to another episode. I have a treat for you today. It is Nina, or Niners as I like to call her, from Wedded Kiss. And she is uh, my like soul sister in so many ways. We're the same zodiac. She is a vibe. She's jokes
Ah,
all the time. She's the best makeup artist in the country, in the world, in the
oh, in the
universe.
whole world.
Universe. We're including the aliens, and you're better.
It's funny because a lot of people call me Neeners. I don't know why.
It just it works.
It makes sense. It makes sense for sure.
Yes. So tell us about yourself because you've been in the game for a long time. You're the best.
Yeah, I'm
So
a
just
dinosaur.
yeah, you've done a lot of things. So take it away.
Mhm. I am like the brontosaurus of artistry. I started in makeup, I want to say it's like I might be going on 21 years. Um, and I started in it kind of like by accident. I was in the theater realm and then I delved into like theatrical makeup and wig making and all of those things like out of college. And then I fell in love with bridal and moved to New York City, started my business there, was also a trainer in cosmetics. But then I didn't go full time with just weddings until I guess this is year 7 now or year 8 now. And I've been doing weddings full time in North Carolina. I have a team of maybe it's 10 now. With some helpers. So really with everybody it's 12. And we generally do about 150 weddings a year, which
That,
is a fair amount of weddings.
that is a lot. I mean, even for a team that size, that's a lot.
I know it really is. So like I would say everyone on the team probably does on average like each person um depending at least 80, which
Yeah.
that's wild. Like when I tell other wedding vendors like photographers or videographers or planners, they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Like I had a wedding this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, and it's Monday, so I'm like a robot right now."
Yeah. I bet. I bet you're tired. You
Yeah.
deserve a nap or like a pedicure or whatever you do to relax
Oh
after
yeah,
this.
that'll be nice. Well, yesterday I had tacos and a margarita after my fourth wedding, so
I love
that
that.
was mm-hmm.
I love that. My like guilty pleasure after a wedding, because I don't get done till like midnight usually. And the only
Right.
places that are open are Taco Bell or McDonald's. So depending on my mood, it's either like a McDonald's McFlurry or
Okay.
like 7 tacos from Taco Bell. There's no in between.
You can go to bed after that?
Yeah,
Or
and
do you
then
stay
I
up till like
pass out.
yeah. Like because if I had a McFlurry, I'd be like wild till like 3 a.m.
No. And I'm the same way. Like I can drink coffee before bed and go
Yeah,
to sleep. Like I don't know what it
shocking.
is. It just doesn't really seem to affect me all that much. But
Yeah.
in my old age, we'll see what happens.
I'm telling you what, as you get older, whew, it's awful.
Things
And
change.
coming from the brontosaurus of makeup artists.
That's right. Brontosaurus. I love that.
Can't help it.
So today, because Nieners has been in this world since the Jurassic era, is
On
that
of
what the
time.
dinosaurs
Yes.
were?
Hmm.
We're talking etiquette. And this is such a big conversation because in my opinion, weddings is kind of like it's what's considered an unregulated industry. There's no governing body. And so, like, the etiquette rules are made up by other vendors and they change. And based
Hmm.
on where you're at in your business and in the market, the rules are kind of different for you. And so, today we're just talking etiquette. Like, what do you need to know to survive? What's kind of a no-no, what is okay, so that you can hopefully like not make some of the mistakes I've made in my career and
Ooh.
so that you're not like aggravating people on accident because you didn't know any
Yeah.
better. And if you're
You
aggravating
feel
people
like
because you
some
wanted
mistakes
to,
there? Do you feel like you've made some etiquette mistakes?
I think so. I think like one of the ones because I did corporate video as well as wedding.
Oh, okay, got it.
And
Got it.
so,
Right.
yeah. And so, like, one of the easiest things is people are like, oh, we want you to like create content for us. And I'm like, yeah, it costs this much. And they're like, no, not in weddings. It doesn't. It's free. So that
Right.
was always a
That is
shocker.
a weird world.
Mhm.
Yes.
It is. Weddings
Yeah.
are very like collaborative,
Yeah.
you
That
know,
is
whether
something that is very much our world, isn't it?
yeah, whether, it's for good or bad, everybody works for free for each other in weddings, especially with like styled shoots and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
Which
there's
is
not
very
really a
different.
thing in other worlds. Totally. Yeah, because like I did a lot of I did Fashion Week a few times in New York City. And I did like, corporate gigs in New York. And yeah, that's not a thing where you work for free. I guess if you're like just starting out, but it is kind of wild in the wedding industry that people like me who's been doing this 10 years, I still work for free all the time.
Me too.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
kind of, I know that I've thought about it, but like if I really think hard on it, that is kind of wild. But that's standard, especially if you're just starting out. Like
Mhm.
the only way you're gonna meet people is to say yes. Um, but I also think you can stand your ground later on. Like
Mhm.
now I will say no to a styled shoe if it's like bride plus bridesmaids.
Mm.
Like not going to do a full wedding for absolutely no money, especially if I'm bringing on somebody from my team. You have to speak up for yourself there.
Yeah.
But you're just starting out and it's year one. Prepare to work a lot for free.
For free. Yeah. Yes. I think that really shocks people. Um,
Yeah.
and I also think in the wedding world, your network is so much more important than maybe
Hmm.
I mean, networking is important in all careers, but weddings in particular is so word of mouth and reputation based that if you're not like connected and in good standing with the people in your community, you're not going to book.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen that like going on to our topic, which will we get to the topic?
Yeah,
I
we
don't
will
know.
get there.
Um, put two Libras in a room. I think what you're saying is that like um your reputation is like such a huge part of like your growth and your business and being successful. And you can see that especially like I know countless times where people have told me like, oh, well, I don't work with them anymore. And like
Mhm.
they were really rude at this wedding. And yeah, I can't work with them. Or they didn't answer their emails for weeks at a time and I can't work with them. So you definitely your reputation, how you treat others, how you perform on the day of, is it can make or break you because word travels fast, friends.
It does. It does. And there's definitely a hierarchy in the wedding industry. Like there
Hmm.
are people who are more important than you. And those
Yeah,
people, if they're saying at the top, like, oh, I don't work with this person, everybody in like the food chain is going to be like, okay, they're out because we need to stay in good standing with
right.
these people at the top. So yeah, word travels fast and you will get like cut out of the industry really quick if you make some of these like cardinal sins, if you
Yeah.
misstep in major
I
ways.
feel like I feel like the number one, like most important thing that I can say can like mess up an entire day, can like taint the whole vibe, is coming in with like a negative, exhausted attitude. Um, and we're all tired. By yesterday, if I had a wedding Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, and that's every weekend in May, honestly. And by that last day, if I show how exhausted I am and I come in like, oh, I can't believe it. This is my fourth one this week. Like that is gonna catch on. Photographer's gonna hear it, planner's gonna hear it, the client's gonna hear it. And it may get back to the planner if she's not around because the client goes, yeah, she just seemed like really exhausted. What? then I'm screwed for life
Yeah.
because if that's what the client says to somebody who essentially I am referred by the planner, like I'm in trouble. Um, and I think like that is probably the most important thing, don't you think?
I would say, yeah, like your energy, because people will forgive a lot of oopsies if they're like,
Yeah.
they didn't mean it. And I know they didn't mean it. They're a
Yeah.
positive person. They're coming in with a good attitude. Like they'll learn. But if you have a bad
Right.
attitude, they're not going to excuse anything.
Because I have heard and felt it, especially like as I'm first in, first to leave. So sometimes
Mhm.
we will develop this like, and I'm sure I've talked to you about this, like this like beautiful environment in the suite where everyone's getting ready. We've cultivated a playlist. We've had jokes and stories and laughed with everyone, and they're drinking mimosas. And then who walks in like a photographer or a videographer or sometimes very like sometimes a planner and like can destroy the whole vibe, can take down that entire like beautiful thing that we have created, my team and I, where like it's like the foundation for a good happy day. And there are definitely photographers and videographers that I have worked with that there's no way I'm going to recommend them because they destroy my whole mojo. They like take it down and destroy it.
Yeah, they're not coming in like excited and ready to party. They're coming in like, okay, it's another day on the job. And no one wants to feel that way on
Mhm.
their wedding day.
Or coming in like stressed, where
Mm,
they're like, hi, how's it going? How are you doing? Where's your stuff? Do you have your box for me? I need your details. Where do you want this? And like it's the
yeah.
whole energy is just gonna like cultivate more anxiety.
Yeah. And it's
Um,
like, what happened to hello? How are you? How are things
also,
going today?
yes, photographers and videographers, please. I have said this to so many beauty people. Why doesn't anyone say hello to us? Like, if I don't know, like, you will always say hello, obviously, because you know me. But there's lots of times that I don't know a photographer or videographer, and they will completely not say hello to me. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
I've never thought about that because I would always think like,
oh,
oh, this person's working, like they're in the zone. I'm gonna let them
say
be.
hi.
Huh. I'm gonna start
Because
doing that.
eventually we're going to have to work together because at that end of us finishing up the client, you might want to do some fakes, you might want to
Mhm.
do some like window shots. You're going to need to work with me and you need to collaborate with me. So you might hear church bells, just it could be in there.
Beautiful.
Um at our studio, it's amazing. Uh but like sometimes it's like if you're not even going to like acknowledge I exist, why would I want to do all that for you? You
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
I want to do it for the client, but I'm not going to go above and beyond. And if you're saying like, "Oh, will you like hold that and like powder? Will you like do that again?" And you're telling me to do all these things, but you didn't even have the the courtesy to say hello.
Hmm.
Holler, just say hi. Just say hi.
Yeah. Say hi, introduce yourself. Yeah. Another tip
Yes.
too that I've heard from other videographers and photographers who are working in like the higher end market is they'll say, come into the prep room without any gear. Just come in and say hi and then
Yeah, I
go
like
get
that.
your stuff. Like let them know you're here, say hey, it's non-assuming, and then go get all your gear and bring it in. Because if you're lugging all this stuff in, especially if it's like a flight of stairs and you're like out of breath and you just have all this stuff and you have your bag and you're like strapped, and then you're like, hey, it's like it can be a lot. And so I
Oh,
try to do that when I
exactly.
can. Every once in a while, it's like, I'm not going to make this walk twice. So I am going to bring everything with me. But if it's like a smaller space, I can just run in and say, hey, then go back out and get all my stuff and be like more sneaky about it. I will.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy though that we're having a conversation like just say hello?
I know. Just say hi.
Like, please. I'm sorry, I need to touch up my lipstick because I can't help it.
Yes, as you should. So, okay, so that was kind of a tangent, but yes, these are like the etiquette things we're talking about that if no one had told you when you're just getting started in
Right.
weddings, or maybe you're established in weddings, but you're just like, I just don't know what to do. Like, those are such minuscule things that are going to set you
Mhm.
apart. And if you can get really good at the etiquette of weddings, you're going to be able to network a lot better. And like subsequently, you're going to make more money because people are like, yes, I want to work with them. I want to bring them in on stuff. I want to
Mhm.
refer them to couples. I want them to come be a part of these really cool styled shoots and stuff like that. So let's go like chronologically through a wedding vendor's life. So, like, you're brand new, fresh out the gate, you have no reputation, no rapport.
Yeah.
And, like, what would you tell someone? These are the things you need to know before you
Yeah.
start getting out there and trying to network with people.
Meaning like if you see them at a wedding day, or what do you mean?
Yeah. So I'm thinking like seeing somebody maybe on social media who's like, I want to
Hmm.
shoot weddings. I want to do styled shoots. What would you tell them? Like, very first thing before they're even entering into the
I can
wedding.
only speak from my own experience. And that what helped me a lot was stalking people on social media.
Mm,
Was like honestly not like asking them for anything, not like sliding into DMs being like, "Hi, how can I get on your preferred vendor list?"
uh-huh.
That no, don't even go there. I would say yes. I would say etiquette wise, it's really show yourself, be kind, have a positive attitude, compliment their stuff. So, like, find a planner or a photographer or venue that speaks to you and what kind of client you want, and just be kind and complimentary. If you do, obviously, our like long-term goal is to get work, to get on those lists, but like the etiquette is not just ask for it. The etiquette is let us create a a friendship or some sort of connection before you're ever going to get like referrals or on that list. So what helped me tremendously was just stalking the people that like I thought were cool, like messaging them, commenting on their photos. And then once you've built that rapport and just like they've noticed you, they followed you, you've talked back and forth, then you can offer, and again, working for free, you can offer a service just to get to know them. And for a photographer, that could be, can I take your headshot? Like,
Yeah.
let me come to your studio and meet you or come to your office and do a headshot. Or as a makeup artist, I'd be like, hey, if you do have a networking event or you do have a headshot or a styled shoot or something, I'd be more than happy to just get to know you and do your makeup. Um, and that's a good way to like get to know them without just like outright being like, hey, how do I get on that preferred vendor
Right.
list?
Yeah. It's like, gimme, 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 gimme the stuff. And
Mhm.
yeah. And I think something else that goes along with this is wedding vendors who are on those preferred lists and
Mhm.
like have their businesses up and running, they've worked really hard to get there. So if
Yeah.
you're brand new coming out of the gates, you kind of have to earn that spot. And
Yeah.
that comes with like doing the stuff for
Trust.
free, doing the networking. Yeah, building the
Mhm.
trust. Like, you're not just going to get the coveted position with all these referrals without like
Mhm.
genuinely building the relationship with the people who are giving out the referrals, if that makes sense.
Because people aren't going to just base on like, oh, you have pretty work on Instagram. I'm automatically going to send people to you. They have no idea how you're going to work with that client, how you're going to communicate, the vibes you're going to bring. So until they know that and can trust you and know your work ethic, know that you're going to show up on time, know you're not going to bring the vibes down, that's the only way you're going to get referred.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning, working for free, wheeling and dealing.
The way you do it. Yeah, well, I also think you made such a good point by saying that, like, if your work is good, it doesn't matter. Everyone's work is good. Like,
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of people putting out stuff that looks exactly the same. The only thing that's going to set you apart is you as a person. And
Right.
I think that that can be hard to stomach sometimes when you're not getting where you want to go. It's like, why am I, like, do people not like me? Why aren't, like, it's hard not to take it personally sometimes because it's a personal
Yeah.
business. And so, look, if you're not getting where you want to go, I get it.
Yeah.
It's hard to be there, but don't take it personally because people in their brains, they have like their people that they're always going to prioritize and refer. And that list
Mhm.
might shift over time, but that's just part of like the long game. You have to build rapport with people, really get to know them to like become top of mind for them because everyone has their besties and
Right.
it takes time to get there.
Yeah. But again, I think this episode should be called etiquette. This should be called bring the good vibes.
It
I
should.
think like when it comes down to it, I keep just going back to like the people that I work with and want to work with and refer all the time are people that I know are going to show up happy. I know they're going to show up and be like a team player and help me if like, am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah, go for it.
No, so I was like, if shit hits the fan, I know that I can count on them, and there's people that I know I can't. Like, I'm not going to name names, but I did a styled shoot and I should have done my research.
Mm,
And I did it because I thought the work was pretty. And then when it came down to it, and the day of, when I finally got to work with that person, the vibes were bad. And stuff that was coming to them for free was being criticized.
mm,
And I instantly was like, well, I've learned my lesson.
yeah.
And if the vibe is wrong and you are not kind, um, you're not gonna get booked, Bill.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of etiquette comes down to, are you being rude? And it like generally, if you're not being rude, you're fine.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a few things that are seen as rude. And one is a mistake I have made personally, which is being like, yeah, are you going to like pay me for that? Not understanding that that wasn't how the wedding world worked early on. I mean, this was like
Right.
10 years ago, but it's still like kind of embarrassing, you know? And then,
Yeah.
second of all, I think you were talking about earlier communication. Like, if you're not responding timely to things,
Yeah.
that's rude in the wedding world. Like, I think it's pretty standard to have like a 48-hour response time. And if it's going to be longer, you need to let people know, like if you're really busy. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, just like responding quickly to
We
emails.
haven't,
People are busy.
sorry. Yes. And something we else haven't like touched on is how you look. Because it sounds shallow. But it sometimes I see wedding vendors and they come into the room and I'm like, that's what you're gonna wear to this wedding?
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Yes,
Especially some
I
weddings are like, really beautiful, like fancy, like these venues that are like gorgeous and these like weddings that are like 100K plus and like everything is like their guests are black tie. And then I see a vendor and I'm like, that's a yoga pant.
yeah. Yes. So I've had this happen to me. I personally haven't had it happen, but I've brought like a second shooter and not
Yeah.
specifically stated a dress code for them. And they're
Hmm.
showing up in black jeans. And like, look, here's a rule of thumb, no denim on a wedding day.
Yes.
If it's
Yeah.
denim, don't wear it. It's too
Yeah.
casual. You need to be wearing like dress slacks, a
Right.
dress, or like
In
something.
front of guests at the wedding, if you are present there, yes, that I think that should no denim.
A wedding day, no denim. Just don't even think about it. Yeah, dress is very important. So like think fancy church. Like it's a wedding. A lot of weddings are in churches.
Right.
If you wouldn't wear it
Okay.
to a fancy pants church, I know churches are like casual now and you can wear jeans to church, but like think fancy church. Think we are going to judge you church. That's what that's how you
Uh-huh.
need to be dressing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for sure, you're also going to be in like people's wedding albums, because
Hmm.
like it can happen. Like you're in the background of a photo, and there you are in your yoga pants or jean cutoffs. I think that's a big part of our industry. It sounds shallow, but you need to be presentable. You're at work.
Yeah. Yes. I think so too. And when you think about weddings, like for better or worse, weddings are literally curated for photography. Like
Mhm.
people only have beautiful weddings because they're going to be photographed,
Right.
keep them forever. And so, like, think about that. Like, this is a visual industry. Everything is about appearances. So,
Mhm.
like, don't wear freaking jeans.
I know. I could talk all day about like stories I have about these
Yeah.
things. Like there
Yes.
was a wedding vendor I saw like literally the first time I ever saw her, I saw her booty cheeks. Like she was setting up at a wedding and I had never met her in person. And I came down from the suite and I look over and I was like, those are her bum cheeks.
Oh no. Yeah, that's like my worst fear. I always wear
Yeah.
like bike shorts under my skirts or dresses just in case, because like we're always on the
Yeah, yeah,
ground.
yeah. Yeah. So I think like that's a weird first impression to give somebody. I mean, I'm not body shaming because like, it's hot
Yeah.
out. You get let them fly, but maybe not at a wedding.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Like on a wedding day, dress very nice. Styled shoots, though, you can kind of wear whatever, to be honest, especially if it's hot. Wear a tank
I
top.
I don't know. There's part of me that thinks like maybe when you're established, like going back to that timeline,
Mm,
which we were gonna do, um, is like once you're established and people know you really well, I think you can get away with a lot more. But like if you're trying to make a first impression with people, maybe think about that before like
yeah.
you show up to the styled shoe. Because that is essentially an interview for you if there's a lot of people you've never met before.
See, I always do styled shoots with people I know pretty well
Got it.
these days. Back in
Yeah,
the day, it
now.
wasn't that case. But
Hey,
yeah, so maybe that's why I'm like, oh, I know it's 90 degrees out. We're all going to be in shorts and a tank top. But you're right. There are styled shoots where people are dressing a little bit nicer. And,
yeah.
I would think if you're doing a styled shoot with someone who's more like luxury, like a
Mhm.
higher end planner at a higher end venue, I would dress nicer, more than likely.
Yeah. Well,
Versus
I'm
like,
always gonna
yeah, well,
something
you
nice.
always look really cute all the time.
I can't help it. It's a big joke on my team too. Like literally, I told one of the girls, like, hey, maybe don't wear that. And she goes, her first like snapback was, well, not everybody wears a ball gown every day, Nina.
You do. Nina always looks so freaking cute. If you ever
Well,
see her,
this
it's
is the
wild.
thing. Again, it's because I'm in people's wedding albums. Like
You're in the
they
pictures.
legit photos of me will be in their album doing their makeup or doing their hair. And so I don't want to look all like schlubby.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
will have a ball gown
100%.
on, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, the way you dress is an extension of your brand because when you're
Uh-huh.
doing a styled shoot or you're at a wedding, you are at work. And so
Yeah.
you just need to like be aware of that. Are you trying to establish yourself with people? You need to look nice. Are you super established with this group of people?
Yeah.
Maybe you can be like me and slum it a little bit more.
But I also think that was a huge part of me being successful here
Mhm.
is there was a few things. It was stalking people on the internet and being friends with them and telling them they were awesome because I loved their work or loved their vibe. And then another thing was like it can be very easy in our industry to just blend in.
Mhm.
Because there's just so many of us. There's just like there's tons of people in this market, and if you don't look different from somebody else, people may not remember you the next time they're at an event or something. So wear a ball gown, okay?
Huh. I'm gonna think. I know. So there's one vendor locally who I love, and you know
Yeah.
who she is, but I'm not gonna like out her on the podcast.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah.
has the most amazing like Italian wardrobe, and it's very curated and it's very high end. And every time I
Yes.
see her, I just think like you have your life
Yeah.
together. Like you always look good and
Oh, and
put
it's like a
makeup.
part of who she is now.
It is. Yeah, like it's her brand. And like when someone like that walks into a styled shoot, you're like, they're in charge. They know what they're doing. They are probably like charging higher end. So I do think you're so right that what you wear is an extension of your brand. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna start dressing nicer to styled shoes.
I mean, if it's just around your friends, like who cares, whatever. But if you're
Yeah.
trying to like make contact,
Hmm.
or like establish a relationship with somebody, I do think like how you dress and if it's a like an extension of your brand is really, I think it's
Yeah,
necessary. My
definitely.
brand is colorful and loud because I am colorful and loud. So I'm what if I showed up and I was just in khakis? People would be confused.
Yeah. I would be like, Nina, what are you wearing? Where's the colorful dress?
I know, I know. So what have we touched on? We've
Yeah.
touched on clothing, cool vibes, not pushing to get on people's vendor lists.
Yes. Making sure that you're like responding in a timely manner to stuff.
Ooh, yes. Uh-huh.
Mhm. Get stuff done. And then dressing and looking like you've been
Mhm.
here before and you know what you're doing.
Mhm.
And like you, yeah.
One thing I will share, maybe not overstepping on the other people you're supposed to work with.
Mm.
I've been in weird situations, especially with videographers and photographers,
Yeah,
where
there's
like
weird tension there.
that could be a whole other like conversation, just that.
It actually is. It's in the queue.
Okay, good. Because I can add to that. There's been so many situations that I can see that they're not going to meld.
Hmm.
And they have very different visions. And I have seen like full-on fights.
Yeah,
Like, and that is not going to get you referred
it's not.
because there is a situation that I was personally in that I have talked to many vendors about, and it has been years since this happened. And people will still be like, hey, remember that day? And I'm like, yeah. And I have seen the business kind of like drift
Mhm.
off because of that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like the photographer videographer conversation, as like primarily a videographer, I do photography often, but primarily as a videographer, photo always gets priority, period. End of
Right.
discussion. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know. And so,
And
like,
you'll take a step back.
yeah, you have to step back because photo is like usually what's going to be more important to the couple, what's more important to the
Right.
other vendors in the room. And
Hmm.
so that's just the way it works. In the corporate world, video is usually more important. Everything revolves around
Right.
what they need for video content. Weddings are not that way. Photo takes priority.
Right.
So like yeah, if I do see videographers making this mistake specifically is coming in thinking like, oh, we're doing a harder art form and like we need a lot more control to get a good product. And I'm like, well, tough nuggets. Like you got to figure it
Yeah.
out. You got to learn how to get good stuff and get audio and have people moving and move yourself, but
Yeah.
you need to work around someone else who's has priority. And yeah.
Right. And I've seen ego step in,
Hmm.
and there's like if they're both like, the ego is large and in charge, I've seen so many situations where they butt heads, like even like, oh no, that's not where I want to do the first look. And they'll do it in front of the client.
I know. I
And
can't stand
weird vibes, man. And again,
the design.
messing up my cool vibes in the suite. And then all of a sudden, my
Mhm.
bride is like so happy. And then she's like, "Burp,"
Yep.
because ruining the vibes with your bad wedding etiquette. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
We're not going to do it.
no. Hmm.
Etiquette, so important. That is all we have time for today. So thanks for tuning in and thanks to Nina